Hello everyone, welcome to Scorched Earth Toys at anymoon.com's transformation guide for Bandai's 160 scale DX YF-29 toys. Today I'm going to go back from Battroid to fighter mode, as I understand a lot of people have been having some issues, particularly with the shoulders getting back into fighter mode. So I'll try to take some extra time at that step. I will be using the Alto variant for this transformation guide, but obviously this guide would be true for all variants that are out there. Alright, we're going to begin on the back side of the toy, and while I've got the toy turned around, I want to point something out to you. If you have really sloppy hips, there's a screw right behind the hip joint. A little twist of that screw will normally tighten the hips up enough where you can enjoy your Battroid YF-29 toy again. Let's start by collapsing the gun barrels, so just pressure up top, like so. Now we've spun the toy back around, we are going to unhinge the waist by just pulling forward at the top. That frees this up to come down. You want to rotate your legs as you do. You're going to get them out like that, then you're just going to apply pressure to get that metal hinge downward. And you should reach this position here. From the side now, we're going to move the rear guns downward, which will allow us to bring the back upward. We're going to kind of move the head forward a little bit and get that back straight. And then it's going to allow us to pivot the chest upward. And then we can move the nose cone free. Like so. Now that's obviously a really scary step if you're doing this with the Foca version, where there's black paint on the top of this triangle and it wants to rub against the neck plate. So you'll have to be very cautious there. One word of advice for some people would be put a little piece of clear tape on this point when you transform into Battroid mode, and then you're less likely, obviously, to scratch that paint off as you transform back. Okay, now your toy will look something like this. You can go ahead and pull the nose cone forward and close the landing gear doors. That just gives you one less thing to prick your finger on. And they feel kind of fragile, so it's nice to get them shut. This next part is going to be really hard to film. You need to get the head turned around, recessed, and properly seated, which is not easy to do. So first we can start by turning the head around, sweeping the head lasers back. Then what I do is I put my two fingers, there's a gray plate that the head sits on. I'm going to put my fingers behind that gray plate and apply pressure downward. It's not easy to do. Let's see if we can get it going there. There it goes. Alright, so that plate has now recessed back to where it needs to be. I need to get the head recessed now. So the head's on a ball joint and it compresses. So you just push down on the head to get it to compress. Obviously you need to be clear of the plastic it's housed in. Okay. Now we pull it all the way forward. Once it's in position, you could bring the back upward. Make sure your head lasers are out of the way. And we can swing the chest into the fuselage. And obviously we are getting fairly close to a gear walk mode now. If I wanted to go to gear walk mode, at this point I would just bring the guns back and the wings straightened out and then connect the hips. But I don't. I'm going to go straight to fighter mode. So I'm going to start by removing this shield. And then I need to get the arms in a very particular position if I want to get them into their proper fighter mode stance. So what I got to do is swing them around like so. Palm open. I guess the palm probably doesn't matter. But you need to bring these shoulders down like so. And you want to recess that so it's tight against the arm. I'm going to do that for both. So bring the arm straight, bring it away, rotate the shoulder mechanism, and then fold it down. And then collapse the arm so it's tight. When you're done, both arms will be pointed forward. Hands will be pointed out. And you will be ready to swing the arms around and tuck them underneath. A feat that I'm sure no one thinks I will accomplish without knocking the shoulder parts off. You can give yourself a head start on swinging the arm and shoulder around by bringing the swing downward from the top of the plane. You can pivot the shoulder array entirely downward. And then the shoulder itself has another little ball joint. So you can swing that further down as well. And you're creating clearance to help you get over this big ridge here. Alright, so the trick now as you actually move the arms is to try to touch the arms as little as you possibly can. The arms really need to stay perpendicular to this swinging joint. And so if you cause the arm to get out of whack, it creates extra pressure on the shoulder, which makes it want to pop off. So you start with them perpendicular, as far towards the camera right now as you possibly can. And then you start swinging it by touching that swing mechanism. So now you are going to get to points where you would have to touch the arm. You can't do anything about it. But again, remember, you've got this pivot point here, and you have another pivot point at the base of the shoulder to help keep it away from that ridge here. And you can rotate the arm a little bit to help get you a little more clearance. So again, I'm just using the swing mechanism more than the arm itself to try to get that arm into place. Now, you can't do it entirely, but you're going to want to do as much as you can. Oops. Via that mechanism. Okay, so there just kind of all fell into place. Now you got to do a lot of wiggle jiggle here. Obviously it's not the most easy fit. But there you have it. The arm is in place without that shoulder ever having popped off. Can I do it with the other one? That would be a bonus, wouldn't it? Let's see. There you go. The arm's in place without the shoulder ever popping off. Returning to the top of the plane, you need to make sure your shoulders are completely lined up and in their proper position. And then returning back to the bottom, you want to make sure the arms are recessed all the way. They've got slots up in the middle of the forearm, and there's pegs in the back of the plane. So you want to line them up, and you'll feel it grab, and they will tuck in a little bit better than they were. There you go, you hear a little click there. The hands need to be fists for later when you're going to apply the shield. So if you had them open palm like I showed you earlier, go ahead and close those fists up now. Okay, now we're ready to get the legs into position, so go ahead and close up the feet. And you'll notice as I do this, the leg is collapsing because it was extended. So there you go, now your legs are ready for fighter mode. Okay, make sure your hip kibble is flared outward, and then you're going to see these pegs on the back of the intake. They go into the slot right there. So you're going to bring the legs up, and you're going to line up those pegs and slots. At this point you can bring up your hip kibble a little bit, and then go ahead and apply enough pressure where you hear an audible click, and those intakes will be grabbed into position, and then make sure your hip kibble is just right. And now you can bring down your wings, and you should have everything lining up nice and tight up here. And then you're going to be able to bring back your guns. Those will make an audible click as they get into place. Now, your legs shouldn't be really in place yet. So they make an audible click as they lock in. Grab your shield. You want to slide the mechanism for attachment forward. Open up the hand bays. You are going to then slide this underneath the point. Move my fists a little bit there. Underneath the point. That will just latch into place. And now all we have left to do is get this peg into that slot, and you will be done and in fighter mode. So just, there we go. There we go. And of course, if you wanted to, you can extend the wings. And if your tail fins aren't in the right spot, pull them upward now. You might have to do some tweaking, some minor adjustments. It looks like I've got some things that aren't quite tight right now, but just once over, a little wiggle jiggle, and everything should be right in line. Yeah, there you go. Alright, so there I am in fighter mode, although I keep knocking it out. Okay. It's much more solid than it looks like, but when you have one hand in front of a camera, there you go. So there you are, Battroid to fighter mode. Visit anymoon.com for my full review of this toy, also a transformation guide from fighter back to Battroid mode. Thanks for viewing.